The Xindi diplomatic corps never imagined that a mere Earth animal would save their most prestigious delegation from certain death. Now, as Bruce Holmes stands in the gleaming reception chamber of the Starweaver with his German Shepherd service dog Zeus at his side, he watches Senior Ambassador Lena's face contort with barely concealed disgust. "Mr. Holmes, surely you cannot expect us to permit this. Creature, into our sacred chambers of discourse," Lena says, her silver-scaled skin reflecting the soft ambient lighting. Her elongated fingers gesture dismissively at Zeus, who maintains perfect heel position beside Bruce. "With respect, Ambassador, Earth's disability accommodation laws are non-negotiable aspects of our diplomatic protocols," Bruce responds, his hand instinctively reaching down to touch Zeus's fur, a grounding technique that helps manage his combat-induced PTSD. "Zeus is a registered service animal and goes where I go." The tension in the chamber rises as other Xindi representatives exchange glances, their hierarchical society struggling to accept what they view as an inferior being in their presence. The chamber itself speaks to their technological advancement: smooth, curved walls, embedded with neural interfaces and atmospheric regulators that maintain perfect homeostasis for both species. Bruce notes the subtle shift in Zeus's posture before anyone else does. The shepherd's ears prick forward, his nose working overtime, sampling the air. Years of training and natural instinct combine as Zeus turns his attention to the ventilation system above. The first warning comes as a low growl, barely audible, but enough to draw Bruce's attention away from the diplomatic standoff. He recognizes Zeus's alert behavior, the same that saved his unit multiple times in combat zones. "Something's wrong," Bruce announces, just as Zeus lets out a sharp bark. The Xindi's bioscanners remain silent, their advanced technology failing to detect the microscopic hunter-killer drones now seeping through the ventilation system. Chaos erupts as Zeus springs into action, tracking an unfamiliar scent through the chamber. The dog's military training kicks in as he weaves through the panicking diplomatic staff, leading Bruce and the security team directly to a supposedly junior attaché trying to slip away unnoticed. Bruce feels the familiar tightening in his chest, the onset of an anxiety attack triggered by the sudden violence. But Zeus, even while actively pursuing the threat, maintains awareness of his handler's condition. The shepherd positions himself between Bruce and the unfolding chaos, providing tactical support while simultaneously offering the pressure therapy that keeps Bruce functional. The Xindi security forces watch in astonishment as Zeus corners the separatist operative, their own detection systems still failing to register the microscopic threat that could have eliminated their entire diplomatic corps. Senior Ambassador Lena's expression transforms from disdain to wonder as she witnesses the Earth animal's capabilities firsthand. "Perhaps," she announces after the separatist is secured and the hunter-killer drones are neutralized, "we have been too hasty in our judgment of Earth's companions. I formally request a complete study of these service animals, particularly this one." She gestures to Zeus, who has returned to Bruce's side, alert but calm. "It seems we have much to learn about humanity's relationship with their fellow Earth species." Bruce recognizes the significance of this moment, even as he processes the deeper implications of the assassination attempt. Someone high in the Xindi hierarchy had to have authorized this attack, and now he and Zeus are uniquely positioned to uncover the truth if they can survive long enough to do so. Bruce settles into his temporary quarters aboard the Starweaver, Zeus maintaining a watchful position by the viewport. The events of the assassination attempt left the Xindi diplomatic corps shaken, their previous certainties about Earth's lesser beings crumbling in the face of Zeus's life-saving intervention. A chime announces the arrival of Dr. Marcus Ward, the ship's human xenobiologist. The door slides open to reveal both Dr. Ward and Ambassador Lena, accompanied by a younger Zindi female whose scaled skin holds an iridescent sheen distinctive to the medical caste. "Mr. Holmes," Ambassador Lena says, "this is Junior Medical Officer Kira. She has expressed particular interest in studying Zeus's capabilities." Kira steps forward, her movements precise and measured. "The way your companion detected those hunter-killer drones fascinates me. Our most advanced systems failed where his natural abilities succeeded." Zeus's ears prick up at the mention of his name, but he maintains his position until Bruce gives him a subtle hand signal. The shepherd approaches Kira, allowing her to scan him with a handheld medical device. The device chirps, displaying readings that cause Kira's pupils to dilate, a sign of excitement in her species. "Extraordinary. He's actively monitoring your biochemical status, Mr. Holmes. The neural connection between you is far more sophisticated than our preliminary data suggested." Bruce feels the familiar tightness building in his chest, the beginning of an anxiety episode brought on by the morning's events. Before he can reach for his medication, Zeus abandons his interaction with Kira and presses against Bruce's leg, providing deep pressure therapy. Kira's scanner beeps rapidly. "There, did you see that? He detected the change in your blood chemistry before any visible symptoms manifested. Our medical AI hasn't achieved this level of predictive capability." Their research session ends abruptly when Zeus's behavior shifts. His ears flatten, and he moves toward the door with purpose. Bruce recognizes this change. It's the same alertness that preceded the drone attack. "Something's wrong," Bruce says, following Zeus into the corridor. The shepherd leads them through the diplomatic quarter, stopping outside an ornate door marked with military insignias. Captain Thex, head of Ambassador Lena's security detail, approaches from the opposite direction. "These are High Commander Vex's quarters. Your animal shows interest in them." Zeus's continued alertness prompts Bruce to share his concerns. After reviewing security footage, they discover Vex engaging in encrypted communications outside official channels. The investigation expands when reports arrive of other service animals throughout Zindi space displaying similar distress. Each incident correlates with mysterious communications failures in sectors under Vex's command. Ambassador Lena convenes a private meeting in a secured chamber, its neural interfaces deactivated to prevent surveillance. "Captain Thex will assist your investigation," she informs Bruce. "The evidence suggests a coordinated effort to undermine our alliance." Their plans are interrupted by the arrival of General Dax, his imposing figure filling the doorway. All human personnel are confined to quarters, effective immediately. Security Protocol 793. Zeus's hackles rise as the general speaks. The shepherd's reaction doesn't go unnoticed by Kira, who discreetly activates her scanner. The readings confirm her suspicions. Zeus detects something in the general's presence that triggers his threat response. Ambassador Lena faces a decision that could reshape Zindi-human relations. She glances at Zeus, then at her security chief. "Captain Thex, escort our human guests to their quarters through the maintenance section. Officer Kira, continue your research. We need answers." Bruce reads between the lines. They'll investigate from the shadows while maintaining the appearance of compliance. As they navigate the ship's service corridors, Zeus remains alert, his enhanced senses scanning for threats that even the most advanced Zindi technology might miss. The ship's recycled air carries traces of an unfamiliar frequency, one that only Earth's animals seem capable of detecting. Bruce watches Zeus process these invisible signals, knowing their investigation has only begun to scratch the surface of a conspiracy that reaches into the highest levels of Zindi command. Zeus's nose twitches again, sampling another distinct frequency in the recycled air. Bruce watches his companion's behavior shift from general alertness to focused intensity. The shepherd's ears rotate forward, tracking something beyond human perception. "This way," Bruce whispers to Captain Thex and Officer Kira as they navigate through the maintenance corridors. Zeus leads them past humming power conduits and through narrow service passages, his movements deliberate and purposeful. They encounter Derek Walsh at Junction M7, his maintenance uniform stained with lubricant from a nearby hydraulic system. Walsh straightens up from his work panel, surprise evident on his face. "Mr. Holmes." "This section is restricted to essential personnel," Walsh says, glancing nervously at the Xindi officers. Zeus's attention fixes on a seemingly solid bulkhead behind Walsh. The shepherd's behavior triggers Bruce's combat-trained instincts. "How long have you been stationed in this section?" 3 weeks. Transfer from the Dresden station." Walsh shifts his weight, eyes darting between Zeus and the wall. "Look, I should report this, but—" He lowers his voice. "I've logged unusual power fluctuations here. Commander Vex's staff ordered me to ignore them." Kira activates her scanner, keeping it close to her body to minimize its signature. The power draws match no known system configuration. Captain Thex runs his scaled fingers along the bulkhead's surface, pressing specific points in rapid succession. A hidden panel slides away, revealing a sophisticated quantum communications array. The technology's design bears no resemblance to standard Xindi equipment. Zeus whines, pawing at his ears. Kira's scanner chirps rapidly. "These emissions—" They're identical to the frequencies triggering reactions in service animals across human diplomatic vessels. Bruce's tactical training kicks in as he documents the array's configuration with his neural implant. The device's complexity suggests capabilities far beyond simple communication. This is military-grade tech. Who has access to this section? Before Walsh can answer, Zeus's posture changes. The shepherd's hackles rise as his attention snaps to the corridor's far end. Footsteps approach multiple sets, moving with purpose. "Security sweep," Thex whispers. "We need to move." They slip into a waste processing junction, the acrid smell of cleaning chemicals masking their scents. Through the grating, Bruce watches a security team pass, led by one of General Dax's lieutenants. Zeus remains perfectly still, his training evident in every controlled muscle. The team accesses another maintenance shaft, following Zeus's lead toward the waste reclamation system. The shepherd's behavior grows more intense as they approach a series of pipes marked with radiation warnings. They find Thomas Reed installing a device into the system's control matrix. The sanitation worker freezes mid-action, caught literally red-handed with the signal repeater. "Please," Reed says, raising his hands. "I'm just following orders. They said it was a security upgrade." Kira's scanner reveals the true nature of Reed's upgrade, a sophisticated multi-frequency transmitter designed to interface with the quantum array. Under questioning, Reed's facade crumbles. "General Dax's people recruited me 3 months ago, said humans were a threat to Xindi cultural purity." Reed's voice shakes. "I just installed the equipment. I don't know what they're planning." Bruce's neural implant captures every word as Thex secures the evidence. Zeus suddenly tenses, his attention drawn to a new frequency pattern pulsing through the ship's infrastructure. Kira's scanner confirms their fears. The transmission network is accelerating its broadcast cycle. Whatever they're planning, it's happening soon. A priority alert flashes across Thex's neural interface. General Dax accessing restricted command protocols. The team's unauthorized presence in the maintenance sector has been logged. They retreat through the service corridors as security alerts begin cycling through the ship systems. Zeus guides them through blind spots in the sensor network, his enhanced senses proving more reliable than Xindi technology once again. In Ambassador Lena's secured office, Bruce uploads his neural recordings while Thex accesses auxiliary control systems. The evidence paints a clear picture of conspiracy, but they're running out of time to act on it. Zeus's ears prick forward again, tracking another change in the hidden network's emission pattern. Across Zindi space, reports flood in of service animals displaying increasing signs of distress. The conspiracy's endgame approaches, hidden in frequencies only Earth's animals can detect. Zeus's head snaps toward the port maintenance access, his muscles tensing. Bruce recognizes the shift in his companion's posture. This isn't just another detection of the hidden frequencies. The shepherd's behavior indicates immediate danger. "We need to check Cargo Bay 7, Bruce whispers to Captain Thex, interpreting Zeus's signals. The shepherd leads them through a maze of service tunnels, pausing at intersections to scan for patrols. The cargo bay's entrance appears sealed and powered down, but Zeus's agitation increases. They find an access panel, and Thex bypasses the security lockouts. Inside, emergency lighting casts angular shadows across stacked containers. The shepherd moves purposefully toward a maintenance alcove, where they discover Chief Engineer Roth sprawled on the deck plates. Kira runs her scanner over Roth's unconscious form. Neural disruption pattern. He's been exposed to a localized stun field. They revive Roth, who grabs Bruce's arm. The maintenance drones. They're not just handling cargo. He points to a partially assembled weapon mounted on a nearby fabrication frame. "I traced power anomalies here. The drones are building these things automatically." Zeus whines, pawing at his ears as they approach the weapon. Kira's scanner displays a complex energy signature. The frequency matches the network affecting service animals throughout the fleet. These weapon designs, Thex examines the schematics on a nearby terminal, they target structural weaknesses specific to human vessels. Bruce accesses the production logs through his neural implant. There are identical assembly points across multiple ships. Dax is creating an arsenal. Kira establishes encrypted channels to other medical officers, coordinating data from service animals fleet-wide. Dogs, cats, and other companion species display consistent reactions to specific locations, each one corresponding to a weapon's cache. "The animals are giving us a detection grid," Kira says, mapping the response patterns. Their behavior indicates systematic weapons placement near critical systems on every human ship. Ambassador Lena attempts to contact the High Council, but error messages flood her neural interface. Communications are locked down. Dax has implemented Security Protocol 86. "Ma'am," Captain Thex checks his tactical display, "Commander Vex is ordering human crew members to designated security zones." Zeus suddenly perks up, tracking something near the quantum communications hub. They follow him to find Lieutenant Sarah Ward hunched over an antiquated radio setup. "The old frequencies still work," Ward explains, fingers dancing across the controls. "Zindi systems don't monitor them. I can get a signal to Earth, but I need access to the main array to boost transmission strength." Bruce studies the maintenance schematics. Zeus can navigate the service conduits without triggering sensors. "We can reach the communications center through here." He indicates a narrow passage running parallel to the main corridors. Kira works at her portable lab station, synthesizing a counterwave pattern. "If I can match the weapon coordination frequency, we might disrupt their network." A shipwide announcement interrupts their planning. "Attention all personnel. Fleet-wide security exercises will commence in 30 minutes. All vessels maintain assigned positions." "He's moving his ships into attack formation," Lena observes. Watching tactical displays show Zindi warships closing with human diplomatic vessels. Zeus presses against Bruce's leg as his chest tightens, the familiar weight helping him focus through rising anxiety. The shepherd's ears swivel, tracking movement in the corridors above. "Security patrols are increasing," Thex reports, monitoring internal sensors. But these maintenance tunnels use the same control frequency as the weapon's network. Bruce checks his neural readings of the weapon's signatures. "If we time this right, accessing the communications array could overload their entire coordination system." Zeus's nose twitches, sampling air currents from the ventilation system. His hackles rise as new weapon signatures activate throughout the ship. Bruce meets Ambassador Lena's gaze, both understanding the implicit countdown has begun. Lena activates her command protocols. I'm positioning security teams at critical junctions, loyal officers only. Kira holds up her completed countermeasure device, ready for testing, but will only get one chance. Bruce watches Zeus track another patrol passing overhead, the Shepard's enhanced senses mapping their only safe path forward. They have to reach the communications center before Dax realizes his weapon network has been compromised. The maintenance tunnel entrance beckons, barely wide enough for a human to crawl through, leading into darkness. Bruce studies the narrow maintenance tunnel entrance, calculating their options. Zeus presses close, nose twitching as he samples the air currents flowing from the passage. The Shepard's ears rotate, tracking movement above them. We'll need to mask our approach, Kira says, adjusting settings on her medical scanner. I can replicate the sonic frequencies from the weapon network. It should create enough interference to cover our movement through the tunnels. Bruce nods, checking the secured connection to his neural implant. Zeus first. His hearing will give us advance warning of any patrols. They enter the maintenance tunnel in single file, Zeus leading, followed by Bruce, then Captain Thex. The passage forces them to move in a crouching position, surrounded by humming power conduits and hydraulic lines. The recycled air carries a metallic tang. Zeus freezes, ears pricking forward. Voices filter through a ventilation grate ahead. Bruce signals the others to halt as he edges closer to listen. Check his workstation again, a harsh voice demands. Those transmissions had to originate somewhere. Through the grating, Bruce observes two Xindi security officers looming over James Wilson, a communications technician from Beta Shift. Wilson's maintenance uniform is wrinkled, his face pale with stress. I've told you everything, Wilson protests. I only maintain the standard comm arrays. Zeus's muscles tense. The Shepard's attention fixes on cylindrical objects attached to the security officer's belts, devices that don't match any standard Xindi weapons. Bruce's neural implant captures detailed scans, confirming their worst fears. Different route, Bruce whispers, backing away from the grate. We can't risk engagement. They backtrack to a junction, taking a service passage that slopes downward into the waste processing sector. The air grows thick with chemical cleaners and recycling compounds. Zeus leads them past massive filtration tanks until the Shepard suddenly stops, hackles rising. Arranged in precise rows along the chamber's far wall stand dozens of assembled weapons, their polished surfaces reflecting the dim emergency lighting. Bruce's combat training identifies their design immediately banned technology, capable of targeted mass destruction. Kira's scanner chirps rapidly. Multiple activation signatures. The weapons are powering up. A priority alert flashes across their neural interfaces, Ambassador Lena calling an emergency diplomatic assembly. The message requires General Dax's immediate presence. She's buying us time, Thex says, checking tactical displays. But Dax's weapon network is already active. They maintain contact with Roth and Kira through encrypted channels as the engineering team implements their countermeasure system. The environmental controls begin broadcasting interfering frequencies throughout the ship. Warning indicators flash as automated weapons experience cascade failures. Zeus whines, pawing at his ears. The Shepard's agitation increases as he tracks new sonic patterns pulsing through the ship's structure. More weapon caches activating, Bruce says, interpreting Zeus's behavior. Different frequencies Dax built in redundancies. The ship's internal sensors light up with security alerts as High Commander Vex's forces respond to the system disruptions. Through their neural feeds, they watch Vex ordering human crew members detained, citing security protocols. Lieutenant Ward's voice crackles through their secured channel. Earth confirms similar weapon signatures on other vessels. The security drill is cover for a coordinated attack. They reach the primary communications array to find it heavily guarded. Zeus guides them to a maintenance crawlspace overlooking the control center. Through the access panel, they observe High Commander Vex directing security teams. Isolate all human crew members, Vex orders. Any resistance will be treated as confirmation of espionage. Captain Thex accesses the ship's systems through his neural interface, brow furrowing as he analyzes the weapon network's architecture. The activation signals route through life support. We can't simply shut it down. Zeus's ears swivel rapidly as he processes the overlapping sonic frequencies. The Shepherd's reactions reveal a pattern-precise timing intervals between weapon activations. Bruce watches his companion track each new signal, building a comprehensive picture of the network's operation. Kira studies the data from her scanner. The whole system depends on synchronized activation. If we disrupt that timing, she begins modifying her countermeasure device, preparing to exploit the weakness Zeus has revealed. Through their neural feeds, they monitor Ambassador Lena positioning security teams loyal to her throughout the ship. Zeus's increasing agitation indicates the weapon network's activity is accelerating. Bruce checks his tactical display, knowing their window for action narrows with each passing moment. Zeus's ears suddenly flatten against his skull, body lowering into a defensive crouch. Bruce recognizes the signal instantly multiple threats approaching from converging vectors. Captain Thex checks his tactical display, confirming security teams closing in on their position. Movement in sections 12 through 15, Thex whispers, indicating the approaching forces on his neural feed. Vex's security teams. They retreat deeper into the maintenance tunnels, Zeus leading them through narrow passages barely wide enough for their shoulders. The Shepherd's nose works constantly, sampling air currents and tracking sonic variations. 3 junctions later, they encounter a figure in maintenance coveralls crouched behind an access panel. Foster, the man introduces himself, hands raised to show he's unarmed. David Foster, Environmental Systems. I heard the security alerts and figured someone would try coming this way. Zeus sniffs Foster carefully before relaxing his guard. Bruce's neural implant confirms Foster's identity and clearance level. There's an emergency override, Foster explains, fingers flying across the manual controls. Old-school hardware switches installed during construction can't be hacked or controlled remotely. Thex studies the schematics Foster pulls up. This could isolate the weapons network without compromising life support. Through there, Foster points to a heavy-pressure door. But the coolant chambers are active. One wrong move and you'll hit a pocket of toxic gas or a pressure spike that'll crush you. Zeus's ears prick forward, tracking subtle changes in air pressure. Bruce recognizes the pattern in his companion's behavior. The Shepherd can detect the coolant system cycles. Their neural feeds light up with urgent messages from Kira. Vex has ordered a complete reset of environmental controls, forcing her to relocate. Her voice comes through their secured channel. Found something in auxiliary engineering. Prototype sonic weapons behind radiation shielding. They're designed to target humans specifically. Ambassador Lena's diplomatic override codes flash across their interfaces as she delays Dax's security drill implementation. Through the ship's internal sensors, they watch her positioning loyal security teams while maintaining a facade of normal operations. Zeus suddenly stiffens, hackles rising as new sonic patterns pulse through the hull. Bruce's neural implant analyzes the frequencies weapon systems entering activation sequences across multiple sectors. Dax knows we're here, Thex says. He's starting the countdown. Foster leads them through the first pressure door. The coolant chamber beyond stretches 3 decks high, filled with twisting pipes and crystalline heat exchange matrices. Zeus moves cautiously, nose working constantly as he tracks invisible currents of gas and pressure. Bruce's chest tightens in the confined space, memories of past combat operations threatening to surface. Zeus presses against his leg, the shepherd's steady presence anchoring him to the present. Kira and Roth's analysis arrives through their neural feed. The weapons require precise synchronization through sonic frequencies. Their plan to introduce conflicting signals could disrupt the entire network, but only with perfect timing. We need to split up, Thex decides. Cover more access points. Zeus leads Bruce through the maze of coolant pipes, the shepherd freezing periodically to let dangerous pressure waves pass. The dog's enhanced senses guide them past invisible threats, toxic gas pockets, and areas where the pressure could crush human bones. Their neural feeds light up with new data as Zeus tracks the sonic frequencies. The patterns align perfectly with power distribution pathways. The weapons are drawing energy directly from the main reactor. This creates a feedback loop. Foster's voice comes through their comms. If those weapons all activate at once, the reactor goes critical, Thex finishes, taking out the Starweaver and half the diplomatic fleet with it. They reach the override control room to find emergency bulkheads sealed across every entrance. Zeus whines, ears swiveling as weapon activation signals intensify throughout the ship. Ambassador Lena's priority alert cuts through their neural feeds. Similar lockdowns reported on other vessels. This goes beyond the Starweaver. Bruce studies the sealed bulkhead while Zeus tracks the increasing sonic frequencies. The weapon network's activation sequence continues counting down, each pulse bringing them closer to catastrophe. Through the ship's sensors, they watch General Dax gathering his forces near critical sections. The time for subtlety has ended. Now they must find a way through these bulkheads before Dax's weapons achieve full power, knowing that failure means the destruction of every diplomatic vessel in the fleet. Bruce traces his fingers along the sealed bulkhead's surface, Zeus pressed against his leg. The shepherd's ears twitch rapidly, tracking the intensifying weapon frequencies that pulse through the hull. Chief Roth here, a voice cuts through their neural feed. Found something. Maintenance shaft access point in section 23B. It's narrow, maybe 40 centimeters wide. Zeus's nose works the air near the deck plating. Bruce checks the schematics Roth transmits, nodding the shaft's path through the ship's infrastructure. That'll get us behind the bulkheads. What's the catch? Environmental controls are shot. Atmosphere's unstable toxic pockets, pressure variations, without proper gear. Zeus can detect those hazards, Bruce interrupts, already moving. We'll make it work. They locate the access panel, its edges barely visible in the dim emergency lighting. Zeus sniffs the opening, then backs away with a low whine. Bruce's neural implant registers a surge of toxic gas. He waits as the shepherd tracks the flow patterns, watching for a safe moment to enter. Zeus's ears prick forward. Bruce follows the dog into the shaft, his shoulders scraping the narrow walls. The passage forces them to crawl in single file, Zeus pausing periodically to sample the air. Each time the shepherd freezes, Bruce holds position, trusting his companion's enhanced senses to guide them past invisible death. Their neural feeds light up with urgent data from Medical Officer Kira. The weapon frequencies there causing microfractures in the hull plating. Every Xindi ship in the fleet shows the same damage pattern. Captain Thex's voice follows, showing the evidence to Vex's security teams now. They're starting to understand what Dax's weapons will do to their own vessels. Bruce focuses on Zeus's movements as they navigate deeper into the maintenance shaft. The shepherd suddenly stops, ears swiveling toward a side passage. A figure emerges from the shadows, weapon raised. Hold position, a familiar voice commands. Major Eric Stone lowers his pistol, recognition crossing his features. Bruce, how did you find this route? Following the override controls, you. Tracking weapon signatures, it's worse than we thought. Stone's neural feed shares tactical data. Dax has these devices planted throughout the human diplomatic fleet, all linked to the Starweaver's control system. Zeus whines, pressing against Bruce's leg. The shepherd's hackles rise as new energy patterns pulse through the walls. Bruce's implant registers climbing power signatures from the weapon network. Time's running out, Stone says, falling in behind them. Lead on. Zeus guides them through a maze of junction points, his enhanced senses detecting active security measures. The shepherd's behavior reveals safe paths through lethal energy fields, leading them closer to the override controls with each careful movement. Lieutenant Ward's voice crackles through their neural feed. Earth confirms incoming support vessels, but they're hours out. We're on our own. The shaft opens into a maintenance crawlspace above the control room. Through gaps in the deck plating, Bruce observes the quantum-linked backup system's Dax installed. Zeus's ears flatten against his skull as weapon power signatures spike across the ship. Roth here, Kira and I are modifying life support to broadcast interference patterns. It's slowing the activation sequence, but we can't stop it completely. Bruce studies the security grid protecting the control room, memories of similar systems from past operations threatening to surface. Zeus presses close, the shepherd's steady presence anchoring him. Stone checks his tactical display as Bruce formulates a plan. We can overload the security nodes, Bruce explains, but timing has to be perfect. One mistake and the failsafes trigger. Ambassador Lena's priority alert cuts through their channel. Dax has barricaded himself in the command center with loyal officers. He's preparing for manual weapon activation. Bruce begins the delicate process of accessing the security grid's power distribution nodes. Zeus tracks the energy fluctuations, warning of dangerous power spikes before they can trigger the failsafes. Stone provides covering fire as Dax's security teams converge on their position. The final security barrier falls, revealing the override terminal. Bruce's neural implant connects to the system, only to encounter an unexpected obstacle. It needs both human and Xindi authorization, he transmits. We can't proceed without, on my way with the codes, Kira responds. Hold position. Zeus's ears swivel toward the maintenance shaft as multiple armed teams approach their location. Stone takes up a defensive position while Bruce prepares the override sequence. Through their neural feeds, they watch Captain Thex's team moving to breach the command center where Dax waits. Bruce checks the quantum synchronization data, knowing they'll only get one chance to disable the weapons across all affected ships simultaneously. Zeus presses against his leg, tracking the approaching security teams through the walls as they wait for Kira to arrive with the vital Xindi authorization codes. A flash of movement catches Bruce's attention as Kira emerges from the maintenance shaft, her medical uniform stained with coolant residue. Zeus's ears pivot sharply, detecting multiple hostile teams converging through the surrounding maintenance tubes. 3 groups, Bruce whispers, positioning himself at the entrance. Zeus, guide her through. The shepherd moves to Kira's side, nose working constantly as he leads her past the inactive security grid's invisible energy signature paths. Bruce's neural feed lights up with weapon signatures as Dax's loyal forces close in. The first attacker emerges from a maintenance shaft to Bruce's left. His shot finds its mark before the man can level his weapon. Zeus's warning growl alerts him to a second team attempting to flank through an overhead access panel. Bruce shifts position, using the confined space to his advantage as he engages the new threats. In the command center, Ambassador Lena and Captain Thex breach the outer doors. Bruce's neural feed shows their progress through ship sensors as they encounter fierce resistance from Dax's guards. High Commander Vex's emergency override cascades through ship systems, methodically cutting power in an attempt to prevent weapon activation. Authorization sequence initiated, Kira calls from the console. need human input to complete. Zeus interposes himself between Bruce and the maintenance shaft entrances as Bruce rushes to the console. The shepherd's hackles rise as he tracks multiple approaching hostiles through the walls. Bruce's hands fly across the controls while Zeus provides early warning of each new attack vector. Ward here coordinating with the fleet, other vessels standing by for override signal. Chief Engineer Roth's modified life support systems pulse through the ship, the disruptive frequencies buying precious seconds as weapon power signatures climb toward critical levels. Bruce's neural feed shows the cascading effect across multiple vessels. A sudden spike in energy readings draws Zeus's attention toward the command center. Through ship sensors, Bruce watches General Dax initiate manual weapon activation, bypassing safety protocols entirely. The shepherd's ears flatten against his skull as sonic frequencies build to dangerous levels. Final sequence, Kira announces, fingers dancing across the console. Synchronizing now. Bruce enters the last human authorization codes as Ambassador Lena and Captain Thex reach Dax's position. The General engages Thex in close combat while Bruce and Kira complete the override. Energy cascades through the linked weapons, creating a controlled feedback loop that causes them to self-destruct. The power surge blacks out the command center. Emergency lighting flickers as Bruce's neural feed shows Thex subduing Dax in the darkness. Zeus presses against Bruce's leg, already tracking new scents through the ship's damaged sections. Multiple crew members trapped, Bruce transmits, following Zeus through the dimly lit corridors. Zeus can lead rescue teams to their locations. The shepherd moves with confidence through smoke-filled passages, marking structural weaknesses with sharp barks that echo through the ship's neural network. Each time Zeus locates trapped crew members, Bruce notes the subtle shift in Xindi attitudes from dismissal to genuine respect for the dog's abilities. Medical Officer Kira follows close behind, her neural implant recording Zeus's detection patterns for analysis. The implications for Xindi sensor technology are remarkable, she says, watching Zeus identify a hidden stress fracture in the hull. We've been approaching detection from completely the wrong angle. Ambassador Lena's voice cuts through their neural feed. Security teams have secured Dax and his conspirators. High Commander Vex is implementing new joint security protocols effective immediately. Bruce observes Zeus leading another rescue team to trapped crew members, noting how the Xindi security officers now defer to the shepherd's superior senses without hesitation. The shift in their understanding feels tangible, a fundamental change in how they view humanity's relationship with Earth's animals. Zeus pauses at an intersection, ears swiveling toward distant sounds of cleanup crews beginning repairs. Through the ship's sensors, Bruce watches Xindi work crews adopting new scanning patterns based on Zeus's demonstration of natural detection abilities. The shepherd's influence on their procedures manifests in real time as teams integrate animal-inspired search patterns into their operations. The High Council is convening an emergency session, Ambassador Lena announces through their neural feed. They're preparing formal recognition of service animals' status as full crew members. Bruce follows Zeus toward the diplomatic quarter, where they encounter a group of Xindi officers. Instead of their previous dismissive attitude, the aliens offer respectful acknowledgement to both handler and shepherd. Zeus maintains his professional bearing, though Bruce detects a subtle wag of his tail as they continue their patrol of the damaged ship.